We are certainly living in an era of gadgets and smartphones. Mobile telecommunication operators are strategizing innovative approaches to increase the market share. Talking Point connects with the Managing Director and the CEO of Airtel Lanka with Mr. Ashish Chandra. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
As the CEO of a mobile network operator, offering diverse telecommunication services, what organizational and personal qualities do you believe are essential for success during times of turbulence?
I think the kind of times that we're going through requires a very different kind of a skill sets. This is not the normal time which countries going through or the businesses are going through. And I think the most important quality which is required by the professionals and the companies this time is the flexibility and agility of mind. Ability to adapt yourself to the current situation, because nobody has gone through these kind of times earlier. So nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We have always to be on the toe and adapt ourselves and our business models according to the way the situation is. And hence agility becomes very important. Another quality which I really relish, especially during the times of turbulence, is resilience. Because it's sure that during these times of economic crisis or probably the recovery path, there will be a lot of setbacks. It's very important for us as individuals and as a company to quickly gather ourselves back and bring ourselves back on the growth path. So resilience is very, very important for all of us. Another quality which I think is very important during this time is to keep your focus on the customer. Because most of the companies during these times becomes internally focused. They start to cut costs, they start to change their business models, trying to keep afloat. However, I believe that this is the time that we should all be focused on the customer, their changing customer needs. And if we are able to do that, we will be able to be much more resilient and bounce back from the situation that we are in. So these are some of the qualities which I definitely believe we should have. And apart from this, I think another thing that all of us should look at is ruthless prioritization. This is the time to focus on what matters the most and not focus on the things which are peripheral and which is good to do things. So ruthless prioritization, both in terms of growing the business and growing the personal qualities, is also very important during these times.
Drawing from your personal experience, can you share insights and lessons learned from leading a company through periods of turbulence and uncertainty?
I think one thing which is very important, which helped us, is focus on our employees. Because what is most important for any company to survive or to succeed is how motivated and engaged their employees are. And that is something which has really helped Airtel in the time of turbulence. And this I'm talking not only by experience of myself in Sri Lanka, but we had gone through in an industry a very turbulent time in India. And we have seen that our focus on our employees and keep engaged with them has helped us come out of those crises in a winning way. So I think one lesson I have learned in my life is whenever in trouble, focus on your employees, keep them happy, keep them engaged, and they will definitely deliver much better than what we expect out of them.
What are the key trends and developments in the telecommunications industry that are currently shaping your company's strategy and operations?
Telecommunication is a very critical industry. It is very critical for the economic growth of the country, because telecommunication is the industry which links all the other industry. So it is very, very paramount that we continue to grow for the sake of the economy of the country. Now, few trends which has emerged, especially during the time of turbulence, what we have seen. First of them is the cost consciousness of the customer and the value consciousness. It is not that the customer wants something which is cheap, but they want a good value for their money, because the money becomes much more dearer to them now than any time else. So that's one thing which is coming up, emerging very, very sharply during this turbulent time. And as our company, we have focused on that we provide the best value to our customer in the money that they spend. And in the line of this, we have launched something called Freedom Plans. Then we have redefined the paradigm of telecommunication in the country by launching unlimited voice, unlimited data plans, which offers the maximum value in the money that a customer spends. And we recognize this as a need pretty early during the crisis, so we are able to adopt a strategy to deliver them to our customer. Second thing which is emerging is the use of technology to give power to the customer. So digitization of everything possible, because customer now does not want to be dependent on the company or the agents to do what they want to do. They want the power in their hand. And then digitization is something which is able to produce that power. Anytime that they want to change their plans, anytime that they want to search for the things that they want to do, anytime they want to contact the company, they shouldn't be dependent on anybody else. So I think power to the customers through digitization is another trend. The newer technologies like AI is also coming pretty handy these days in the industries to preempt the customer demands and to deliver to them in the most efficient manner. Other thing which we had been hearing in telecommunication is the 5G technology that we had been talking about. So I think that's going to be another thing which will come up very soon in Sri Lanka also, which I think the entire country has been awaiting for quite some time. I also think that as an industry, we are now moving towards alliances and partnerships. And the reason why it is important for us to do an alliance and partnership is to bring down the cost of operations for the telecommunication company. And I think by doing partnerships within the industry, outside the industry, we can save a lot of duplication of resources which are currently having, like sharing of towers, sharing of spectrum, sharing of a lot of other infrastructure which requires a lot of money to be invested. If it is being done by one company, why can't other companies share that? And that's something I think is emerging as a big trend in the telecommunication industry to be able to reduce our costs.
How does your company approach innovation and stay competitive in a rapidly evolving technology landscape?
So the way we look at innovation is, our approach is a little different. We look at innovation as customer-centric development of anything which delivers value to the customer. So it is a human-centric innovation approach that we take. And to implement that, you have to be connected to the customer. So we are currently connected to our customers, trying to evaluate their said and unsaid need, and then design products, technology, services which delivers value to them. And that is something that we had been doing. If you look at in the last 3 to 4 years time, we have done a lot of innovations which are coming from the need of the customer, and we use technology and product as a tool to deliver those value to our customers. And that has given us an advantage in the last 3 years. Whenever we have launched a product, whenever we have launched a technology, or we have changed our system and processes, it is always keeping customer in mind.
What challenges and opportunities do you see in the telecommunications industry, and how is your company addressing the same?
I think the challenges that the telecommunication industry facing is not very different from the other industries. The biggest challenge that has been faced by any corporate in the country today is the cost escalation. Because we have seen, right from the energy to power to everything, the cost has nearly become doubled. Now, to be relevant in this particular time, we need to control our cost. And we are doing this by ruthlessly digitizing our processes, which increase the efficiency to be able to deliver the same value to the customer at much lesser cost. Other thing that we are doing is partnership and alliances, where we can use other people's infrastructure to deliver the service to the customer without investing too much on the capex side. Second big challenge which is I think is peculiar to telecommunication is the increase in the data usage. Now with this current kind of economic crisis, especially during the time of lockdowns, when people are not able to get petrols and they're not able to move out, most of the people were dependent on their mobile phones and data to be connected to the world. And hence that has led to a nearly 2 to 3-fold increase in the data capacity required by telecommunication operators across the country, which requires a lot of investments in the network. And I think that is something that we had been able to handle by using new technology which are more efficient, which are delivering the same within the same infrastructure, higher data capacities. And we're using technology in a big way to increase the capacity, doing the optimization of our network and many other things. Last but not the least, I think another challenge that entire industry is facing, not only telecom, is the brain drain which is happening from the country. We are seeing every month a lot of talented resource leaving the country for a greener pastures outside. And at this particular time, to manage the operations of the company is becoming a challenging thing for us. So as soon as we realize this trend, we have started investing heavily into the talent development into our company. We are now getting the people prepared for doing multitasking. We are taking care of the people so that they do not have to think of leaving from the country. But I think this is a big challenge that country has to address as a whole, and I think should also be one of the topic for the discussions when this global CEO forum happens, that how do we retain our talent within the country, because that's very critical for the country to go to the next level. Now, the opportunities that I see in this particular time, the second thing that I said, which is increasing data need of the consumer, is also an opportunity. If you look at the statistics today, nearly 40% of the people in the country do not have an access to 4G or do not use 4G. So while Sri Lanka is penetrated completely on the telecommunication services, about 160% teledensity, which means every person in Sri Lanka owns 1.6 mobile phones. But when you look at purely the 4G data penetration of the country, it's just about 60%. So there's a huge scope more for us to go to 100% 4G penetration. And that's a big opportunity for the industry to go to the next level.
In terms of sustainability and environmental responsibility, what initiatives has your company undertaken, such as energy efficiency and reducing the carbon footprint?
As a technology industry, we have always been using the best technology for our network, which is energy efficient and reduces the carbon footprint. But I think that's something which is common, most of the industries are doing. Something which is different that Airtel has done in the last 2 years, I'll talk about that. The first initiative that we took of launching a Freedom Pack, and I'll talk a little bit about it. In 2020, when we started our 4G network in the country and we launched the Freedom Pack, the consumers in the country were utilizing nearly 6 million recharge coupons, which were made out of paper every month. Every month, the consumers were using at least 4 to 5 recharge coupons. So we launched a plan where in one recharge, a customer can get all what they need for the month. And that recharge was also not on paper, it was electronic recharge. When we launched this campaign, we had two things in mind. One, the simplicity to the customer that he does not have to do multiple recharges. And second, how can we reduce the paper wastage which happens because of these multiple recharge coupons being used and wasted every month by telecom consumers. So we started this campaign in 2020 towards the end of 2020, 2021. And the impact of this is that from 80% usage of the recharge coupon for the entire industry in 2021, currently we have reduced the industry usage of recharge coupons to about 40% of the total recharges, which means the paper consumption in the recharge coupon in the last 2 years is being reduced to half in the country. Airtel led this initiative, which was then followed by other operators. And this has led to a massive saving in the paper on the recharge coupons. We also believe that technology is to be used for the good of people. And one of the examples that I keep quoting is, few years back, we realized that mental health is becoming a big issue, especially for the youth of the country. And we were seeing a lot of anxieties, depressions, suicides in the country. And we thought that how can we help the youth in the country to have an access to a mental health education or a mental health helplines. So we tied up with NIMH, National Institute of Mental Health, and we offered technology platform to provide 24/7 access to a mental health professional to anybody in the country across the length and breadth. And I'm very happy to share with you that in the last 2 years, with the help of Airtel and NIMH, we have been able to save more than 1,000 lives because of this timely intervention that we were able to do. So I believe that the sustainability is not only about carbon footprint, but it is also about how can we positively touch the life of the people in the country using technology.
How is your company preparing for the rollout and adoption of 5G technology, and what impact do you foresee it having on the industry and your services?
So as you know, Airtel Lanka is a part of Bharti Airtel Worldwide, which is the world's second largest telecommunication company, serving over 500 million customers across 18 countries. We are also one of the largest deployer of 5G technology in the world in terms of the network that we have created across the world or in terms of the customers that we have on 5G. So huge experience of running the 5G across is coming in handy for us to plan for our 5G rollouts here. The network that we have created in 2020 when we rolled out our 4G is completely 5G ready network, and we have demonstrated on this network the country's highest broadband speed of 1.9 Gbps on a mobile platform. Now, having said that, is the country as of now readily prepared for 5G to be launched? I think it's still a little way to go from here. We are currently working with the regulator, TRC, and the government to work on the policies required to roll out 5G in the most efficient manner in the country. Like 5G requires a different kind of policy making. It requires to give an access to fiber network of the country to the telecom companies. It requires giving an access to the public infrastructure to the telecom companies, because the number of towers which will be required to be put up to roll out 5G will be at least 2 to 3 times that of the 4G network. So a massive rollout of the micro sites needs to be done, and that requires a different kind of a policy making by the government. And we are very positive that the way the government is taking this up, we will soon be able to finalize some kind of a policy which will be good for the country to roll out. Second thing I want to bring on is that currently the penetration of the 5G devices in the country is only about 10 to 15%, not more than that. So even if we launch today the 5G services in the country, not more than 10 to 15% people will be able to use it. And in the current kind of economic crisis, is this the right thing to do? Because as I told you earlier, nearly 40% of the people in the country do not even have an access to 4G. I think the first focus for the industry should be to ruthlessly prioritize the access of 4G to the remaining 40% citizens in the country. And then as a second step, we should be looking at 5G to be rolled out in the country. And that's been our experience across the world, that there is a right time to launch 5G, because 5G needs a lot of investment by the country. Now, if we have to invest this money, it has to be paid by the consumers. Now, today, if we launch 5G services in the country, the advantage people will be only 15%, but remaining 85% people will be paying price for that. Is this the right strategy at the time of the economic crisis? Something that we need to really debate. If you really ask me personally, I think the 5G is still about a year away from where we are, but we are completely prepared as far as our preparation of the technology platform and the supporting platforms are concerned.
What is your vision for the future of telecommunications, and how does your company plan to play a role in shaping the future?
As I said, telecommunication sector plays a very critical role in linking all other industry, and for the sake of the economy to grow, it is very imperative that telecom plays a pivotal role in this. I believe the telecommunications biggest focus as of now should be to help government digitize Sri Lanka, and I think the entire industry, and as a part of that industry, we are completely committed to make the digital Sri Lanka dream of the government come alive. At Airtel, our vision is to provide the world-class broadband services on the mobile to all the consumers in Sri Lanka at a very affordable price. And I think everything that we are doing in the last 5 years has been a step towards that. We created one of the world's best network by rolling out 4G, which is 5G ready. We launched different plans which are making the mobile broadband services affordable to the common masses, so that even the lowest strata and the middle strata of the society has an access to an unlimited data and the advantages of internet. And we are not stopping it here. We are keep moving up, keep innovating to serve the customer in the best interest of them.
Airtel Lanka certainly rolls out very superlative plans for the communications, also making sure that communication would be always offered on affordability, touching the lives of the customers. We were with a very interesting conversation, getting so many insights with regard to the mobile telecommunications through Mr. Ashish Chandra, who happens to be the CEO and the Managing Director of Airtel Lanka. Thank you so much for connecting.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. All the best.